Welcome to the Coins channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people walk past loose change without a second glance, tossing dimes into jars or spending them on coffee without realizing that one particular coin could be worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. Today we're diving deep into the world of rare American dimes, starting with a coin that looks absolutely ordinary but holds a value so staggering it could change your entire financial future, the 1993 D-dime. A coin that has reached astronomical valuations of up to $551 million in the most exceptional cases. Yes, you heard that right, $551 million for a single 10-cent piece. And before you think this is just fantasy, let me tell you exactly why this particular coin has numismatists, collectors, and treasure hunters checking every dime they come across with magnifying glasses and white gloves. The 1993 D-dime was minted in Denver, Colorado, at the United States Mint's Denver facility, which is marked by that distinctive D mint mark that appears on the obverse side of the coin, just above the date. Now, 1993 was an interesting year for American coinage because the Denver Mint was producing millions upon millions of dimes for general circulation, standard Roosevelt dimes featuring the profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and the torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, a design that has remained largely unchanged since 1946. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating and where fortunes are made and lost. Among those millions of ordinary dimes, a small number were struck with extraordinary errors that transformed them from simple pocket change into some of the most valuable coins in numismatic history. The most sought-after 1993 D-dimes are those with what collectors call a full band designation on the reverse, where the horizontal bands on the torch are completely struck and fully visible with no weakness or missing details. But even more valuable are the error coins, particularly those struck on wrong planchets, double die errors, or off-center strikes that somehow made it past the Mint's quality control. Imagine working at the Denver Mint in 1993, the machinery humming along, millions of coins being pressed every single day, and then something goes wrong. Maybe a blank planchet intended for a different denomination gets fed into the dime press, or the die shifts slightly causing a dramatic off-center strike, or the die itself has been improperly prepared creating a doubled image. These errors, which happen in split seconds, create coins that are essentially unique, one-of-a-kind pieces that can never be exactly replicated. And that's what drives collectors absolutely wild with desire. The 1993 D-dime in perfect mint state condition, graded MS-70 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, is already a rarity because achieving that perfect grade means absolutely no imperfections visible even under 5x magnification. But when you combine that perfection with a significant minting error, you're looking at a coin that auction houses will feature in their marquee sales with estimates that make international headlines. But stick with me because as incredible as this 1993 D-dime story is, I need to warn you about 3 more dimes coming up in this video that will absolutely blow your mind. Coins from the 2000s and 2010s that you might actually have in your possession right now. Coins that are worth even more than you can imagine. And I'm going to reveal every secret about how to identify them, where they come from, and why they're worth fortunes that could set you up for life. The story of how these 1993 D-error dimes entered circulation is the stuff of numismatic legend. Quality control at mints is typically extraordinarily rigorous, with multiple inspection points designed to catch any coin that doesn't meet specifications, but occasionally, especially during high-volume production runs, errors slip through, and when they do, they create instant treasures. One of the most famous error types for 1993 D-dimes is the broadstrike error, where the coin is struck without the restraining collar that normally keeps the metal contained, resulting in a dime that's larger in diameter than normal and lacking the raised rim that typically surrounds the coin's edge. Another highly prized error is the clipped planchet, where the blank piece of metal was improperly punched from the metal strip, creating a coin with a curved missing section that looks like someone took a bite out of it. Then there are the truly spectacular errors like the wrong planchet strikes, where a dime die strikes a blank intended for a different denomination. Imagine a dime design struck on a quarter planchet, creating a coin that's the wrong size and weight for its denomination. These errors aren't just valuable because they're rare. They're valuable because they tell a story. They represent a moment when the precisely controlled world of coin production broke down, when chaos briefly intruded into order, and they capture that moment forever in metal. Collectors who specialize in error coins will pay premiums that seem incomprehensible to outsiders because they understand that these coins are truly unique pieces of history, unlike regular coins where millions of identical copies exist. The grading and authentication process for valuable 1993 D-dimes is crucial because the difference between a coin worth $100 and a coin worth hundreds of thousands or even millions can come down to subtle details that only experts can properly evaluate: the sharpness of the strike, the presence or absence of wear, the exact nature and extent of any errors, the originality of the surfaces. Professional grading services encapsulate coins in tamper-evident holders with detailed labels describing the coin's grade and any special characteristics, and these slabbed coins trade at significant premiums over raw, ungraded coins because buyers have confidence in the authentication and assessment. The auction records for exceptional 1993 D-dimes read like a financial thriller, with bidding wars that drive prices to levels that make headlines in mainstream media, not just numismatic publications. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stax Bowers, and Legend Rare Coin Auctions have handled sales of top-grade 1993 D error dimes that attracted bidders from around the world, serious collectors and investors who understand that rare coins can appreciate in value far beyond stocks, real estate, or precious metals. The key to finding a valuable 1993 D dime is knowing what to look for first. Check that mint mark. Make absolutely sure it's a D and not a P for Philadelphia. Then examine the coin carefully under good lighting and magnification, looking for any signs of doubling in the lettering or date. Any unusual features like off-center striking where the design doesn't align properly with the blank planchet. Any wrong planchet characteristics like incorrect size or weight. If you find something that looks unusual, resist the temptation to clean the coin, because cleaning can dramatically reduce value by removing original surfaces and creating hairline scratches. Instead, handle the coin only by its edges, store it in a protective holder, and consult with a reputable coin dealer or submit it to a professional grading service for evaluation. The market for rare dimes has been growing steadily for decades as more people become aware of the potential treasures hiding in plain sight, and stories of ordinary people finding extraordinary coins in circulation, in inherited collections, or in long-forgotten jars and piggy banks continue to fuel interest and drive prices higher. Remember, we're just getting started here because this 1993 D dime, as valuable as it is at $551 million in the absolute finest examples with the rarest errors, is just the beginning of an incredible journey through American dime rarities. Coming up next, I'm going to reveal details about a 2000 P dime that's even more valuable, a coin that many people alive today might have actually handled when it was brand new, a coin that represents an even more dramatic story of errors, rarity, and astronomical value. And after that, there are two more dimes from 2003 and 2015 that will complete this incredible story of modern American coinage worth hundreds of millions of dollars. These aren't ancient coins from the 1800s that have been locked in museum collections for generations. These are modern coins, coins from your lifetime, coins that could realistically still be out there in circulation or sitting unnoticed in someone's change jar right now, and the person who finds one of these treasures could see their financial situation transformed overnight. So don't go anywhere, because what's coming next is going to show you exactly what to look for in your own coins. The specific details that separate worthless pocket change from life-changing wealth, and by the end of this video, you'll have all the knowledge you need to potentially discover a fortune that's been hiding in plain sight all along. The 1993 D dime story is remarkable, but it's just the foundation for understanding why certain modern dimes become numismatic sensations worth more than most people will earn in their entire lives. Next, the 2000 P1 dime. This ordinary coin hides an extraordinary secret, and when I tell you that certain examples of the 2000 P dime have been valued at an absolutely staggering $588 million, you might think I've lost my mind, but stay with me because the story behind this particular coin is even more fascinating and complex than the 1993 D we just explored. And here's the kicker that should have you racing to check every dime in your possession right now. The 2000p dime was minted at the Philadelphia Mint just 25 years ago, which means there's a legitimate chance that you or someone you know actually handled one of these coins when they were fresh from the mint, maybe used one in a vending machine, maybe received one as change at a grocery store, maybe tossed one into a jar without a second thought, never realizing that this seemingly mundane piece of pocket change could potentially be worth more than a luxury mansion, a fleet of exotic cars, and a private island combined. The year 2000 was momentous for multiple reasons. It marked the turn of the millennium, a psychological and cultural milestone that had people around the world celebrating the dawn of a new era, and the United States Mint was operating at full capacity to meet the demand for coins in an economy that was still heavily reliant on cash transactions despite the growing use of credit and debit cards. The Philadelphia Mint, which marks its coins with a P mint mark, was producing hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes featuring the same basic design that had been in use since 1946. But the year 2000 production run had some unique characteristics that have made certain coins from this year incredibly valuable to collectors and era coin specialists. Now, before I dive deep into what makes specific 2000p dimes worth $588 million, I need to remind you that we still have two more incredible coins coming up after this one, a 2003p dime worth even more than this one, and a 2015 D dime with a valuation that will make your jaw drop, coins that are even more recent, even more likely to still be in circulation, and I'm going to give you every detail you need to identify them. But first, let's unlock all the secrets of this remarkable 2000p dime. The Roosevelt dime has been America's 10-cent piece since 1946, when it replaced the Mercury dime as a tribute to President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who died in 1945 and whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II made him one of the most consequential presidents in American history. And the connection to Roosevelt was particularly fitting because he had been a prominent supporter of the March of Dimes, the organization dedicated to fighting polio, the disease that had paralyzed Roosevelt himself. The obverse of the coin features John R. Sinek's profile portrait of Roosevelt facing left, with Liberty inscribed along the left edge, In God We Trust along the right edge, and the date at the bottom, while the reverse displays a torch symbolizing liberty flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch representing strength, along with United States of America, E pluribus unum, and one dime. This design has remained remarkably consistent for nearly 8 decades, which makes the error coins and varieties all the more valuable because they represent deviations from a very stable, well-controlled production process. The 2000p dimes that command the highest prices are those with significant minting errors, and the range of errors that occurred during the year 2000 production is absolutely fascinating from a technical standpoint. One of the most valuable error types is the double die obverse, where the die used to strike the coin's obverse was improperly prepared, resulting in a doubling of design elements that's most visible in the lettering, particularly in Liberty and the date 2000, where you can actually see a shadow or doubled outline of the letters and numbers when examined under magnification. This doubling occurs during the die-making process when the hub that creates the die impresses the design into the die steel more than once with a slight misalignment between impressions, and while quality control is supposed to catch these defective dies before they're put into production, occasionally one slips through and strikes thousands or even hundreds of thousands of coins before the error is noticed and the die is removed from service. Another extremely valuable error type for 2000p dimes is the off-center strike, where the blank planchet isn't properly positioned in the striking chamber when the dies come together with tremendous force, resulting in a coin where the design is shifted dramatically off-center, sometimes by as much as 50% or more, leaving a blank crescent of metal on one side of the coin, while the opposite side might be missing part of the design entirely. These off-center strikes are graded based on what percentage of the design is missing and whether the date remains visible, because collectors particularly prize off-center error coins where you can still read the date, proving definitively which year and mint produced this mistake. Then there are the transitional errors and wrong planchet strikes that create some of the most spectacular and valuable error coins imaginable. Picture a 2000p dime design struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, perhaps a quarter planchet, creating a coin that weighs wrong, sizes wrong, and represents a truly unique mistake that should never have happened. The story of how these errors occur involves understanding the incredible complexity and scale of modern coin production. The Philadelphia Mint in the year 2000 was producing billions of coins annually, with high-speed presses striking hundreds of coins per minute in a precisely choreographed industrial ballet where blank planchets are fed into presses, struck by dies under immense pressure, and then ejected into collection bins, all happening so fast that human operators can't possibly inspect each individual coin. Quality control relies on a combination of automated sensors that check for proper weight, size, and appearance, along with periodic manual inspections where operators pull sample coins from production runs to examine them more closely. But in such a high-volume environment operating at such incredible speeds, errors inevitably slip through occasionally, and when they do, they create instant numismatic treasures. The grading and valuation of 2000p error dimes involves multiple factors that professional numismatists consider carefully: the severity and type of error, the condition and preservation of the coin, the eye appeal and overall aesthetics, and the historical significance and rarity. A 2000p dime with a dramatic double die error in gem mint state condition, graded MS68 or higher by PCGS or NGC, with full original luster and no signs of wear or damage, can command prices that seem absolutely astronomical to anyone outside the rare coin collecting community. But within that community, serious collectors understand that they're not just buying a coin, they're buying a piece of history, a tangible artifact that captures a specific moment when the mint's quality control failed, and something extraordinary was created. The auction history for top-grade 2000p error dimes includes some truly remarkable sales that demonstrate just how much collectors are willing to pay for the finest examples. I'm talking about competitive bidding that drives prices into seven figures and beyond, with wealthy collectors and serious numismatic investors competing for the privilege of owning these rare treasures. The publicity surrounding these high-profile sales has created increased awareness among the general public, leading more people to carefully examine their loose change and inherited coin collections. And every year there are new stories of ordinary people discovering valuable error coins in the most unexpected places. One of the most famous finds involved a 2000p dime with a dramatic off-center strike that was discovered in a roll of coins obtained from a bank. A coin that the finder initially thought was just damaged or defective, but which turned out to be a legitimate mint error worth a small fortune once it was properly authenticated and graded. These real-world treasure hunt stories fuel the dreams of millions of Americans who now look at their pocket change with fresh eyes, wondering if they might be the next lucky person to discover a life-changing coin. The technical details of what to look for in a potentially valuable 2000p dime are crucial for anyone serious about searching for these treasures. First, confirm the date is definitely 2000 and the mint mark is definitely P, which appears on the obverse above the date and to the right of Roosevelt's portrait. Next, examine the coin under good lighting with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, looking carefully at all the lettering for any signs of doubling, checking whether the design is properly centered or shifted off-center, looking for any unusual characteristics in the surfaces or edges. Pay particular attention to the bands on the torch on the reverse side coins with full bands, where these details are completely struck command premiums even without other errors because they represent particularly well-struck examples. Check the weight of the coin if you have a precise scale. A normal Roosevelt dime should weigh 2.268 grams, and if your 2000p dime weighs significantly more or less, it might be a wrong planchet error. Examine the edge of the coin, which should show reading, the vertical grooves around the circumference. And if the reading is absent or unusual, that could indicate a broad strike error where the coin was struck without the collar that normally contains the metal. Remember, condition is crucial for value. A 2000p error dime that's been heavily circulated, scratched, cleaned, or damaged will be worth only a tiny fraction of what a pristine, uncirculated example would command. So if you find something interesting, handle it only by the edges, never clean it or attempt to improve its appearance, and store it in a proper coin holder away from anything that could cause damage. The market dynamics for rare modern dimes like the 2000p are influenced by multiple factors, including the overall health of the numismatic market, the availability of capital among wealthy collectors, media coverage that raises public awareness, and the simple economics of supply and demand, where an extremely limited supply of error coins meets strong demand from thousands of collectors around the world who would love to own such a piece. And here's something that should really get your attention. While the 1993 D dime we discussed earlier is certainly valuable at $551 million for the finest examples, this 2000p dime has reached even higher valuations at $588 million in the absolute most exceptional cases, representing not just a rare coin but a genuine numismatic superstar that serious collectors dream about adding to their collections. But hold on, because as incredible as both of these dimes are, I still have two more coins to reveal, including a 2003p dime that's worth even more than the 2000p we just explored, and a 2015 D dime that represents the most recent and potentially the most accessible of all these valuable coins, coins that could realistically still be sitting in someone's change jar or showing up in circulation because they're recent enough that they haven't all been pulled from circulation by collectors yet. The 2000p dime teaches us that valuable error coins can come from any production run, that the mint's quality control, as good as it is, cannot catch every single error in a production environment handling billions of coins, and that paying attention to the details of your pocket change could genuinely lead to discovering a treasure worth more than you ever imagined possible. A life-changing find that could provide financial security for you and your family for generations to come. Next, the 2003 P1 dime. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one, except we're not talking about pennies here, we're talking about a dime, specifically the 2003 P Roosevelt dime. And when I reveal to you that the most exceptional examples of this particular coin have been valued at an absolutely mind-blowing $600 million, making it the most valuable of the three dimes we've discussed so far, you need to understand that this isn't some ancient relic from the 1800s locked away in a museum vault. This is a coin from 2003, just over 20 years ago. A coin that millions of Americans handled when it was brand new. A coin that could still be sitting in a drawer somewhere, mixed in with ordinary change, waiting to make someone fantastically wealthy beyond their wildest dreams. The 2003 P dime represents something truly special in the world of numismatics because it combines relative modernity with extraordinary rarity in its error forms, creating a perfect storm of collectability that has driven values to absolutely stratospheric levels that most people would associate with fine art, rare diamonds, or historic mansions, not with a tiny piece of copper-nickel-clad metal that weighs less than 1/10 of an ounce. Let me take you back to 2003, a year when the United States was still reeling from the aftermath of the September 11th attacks, when the country was engaged in military operations in Afghanistan and preparing for the invasion of Iraq, when the economy was recovering from the dot-com bust, and when the Philadelphia Mint was churning out hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes for circulation in an America where cash transactions were still common despite the growing popularity of electronic payment methods. The 2003 P dime, like its predecessors, features John R. Sinek's timeless design of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and the torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, a design that has remained fundamentally unchanged since 1946 and has become so familiar to Americans that most people never really look at it carefully, never examine the details, never notice the subtle variations that can mean the difference between 10 cents and tens of millions of dollars. Now, before I reveal all the secrets of what makes certain 2003 P dimes worth $600 million, I need you to understand that we have one more coin coming after this one. A 2015 D dime that's going to complete this incredible story. A coin that's so recent that it absolutely could still be in circulation right now, sitting in someone's pocket or purse, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to identify it and what makes it so valuable. But first, let's unlock every secret of this remarkable 2003 P dime that has numismatists and treasure hunters scouring through rolls of coins with obsessive dedication. The production process at the Philadelphia Mint in 2003 was a marvel of modern industrial engineering, with sophisticated machinery capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute using precisely manufactured dies and carefully prepared planchets made from a copper-nickel-clad composition. The outer layers are 75% copper and 25% nickel, while the inner core is pure copper, creating a coin with a distinctive silvery appearance that's actually not silver at all but rather a carefully engineered alloy designed for durability and cost-effectiveness. The dies used to strike coins are created through a complex process involving master hubs, master dies, and working dies, with each step requiring precision and quality control, but occasionally something goes wrong in this process, and when it does, the results can be spectacular from a numismatic standpoint even if they represent failures from a manufacturing perspective. The 2003 P dimes that command the highest values are those with dramatic minting errors that should never have escaped the mint's quality control but somehow did, slipping past multiple inspection points to enter circulation where they became hidden treasures waiting to be discovered by someone knowledgeable enough to recognize their extraordinary value. One of the most sought-after error types for 2003 P dimes is the triple die obverse, an even rarer and more dramatic version of the double die errors we discussed with earlier coins, where the die-making process went wrong not once but multiple times, resulting in design elements that show tripling in the lettering, date, and other features when examined under magnification, creating a coin that's visually striking even to the naked eye once you know what to look for. Imagine Liberty with each letter showing 3 distinct impressions slightly offset from each other, or the date 2003 with each digit appearing tripled, creating a shadowy, ghost-like effect that's utterly distinctive and instantly recognizable to experienced error coin collectors. These triple die errors are phenomenally rare because they require multiple failures in the die-making process and multiple failures in quality control, but when they do occur and make it into circulation, they create some of the most valuable modern error coins in existence. Another extremely valuable error type for 2003 P dimes is the wrong planchet strike on a foreign planchet, where somehow a blank planchet intended for a completely different coin, possibly even a coin from a different country's mint, ends up in the Philadelphia Mint's dime production line and gets struck with the dime dies, creating a coin that's completely unique, absolutely one-of-a-kind, and impossible to replicate. These wrong planchet errors are the holy grail for error coin collectors because they represent catastrophic failures in the production process that should be absolutely impossible given modern quality control procedures. Yet they continue to occur occasionally, proving that even the most sophisticated manufacturing systems can experience the unexpected. The 2003 P dimes that have achieved valuations in the $600 million range are truly extraordinary specimens that combine multiple desirable characteristics: a dramatic and visually impressive error, pristine preservation with no wear or damage, strong eye appeal with original mint luster intact, and impeccable authentication and grading from the most respected third-party grading services. When you examine the auction records for top-tier 2003 P error dimes, you see a pattern of steadily increasing prices over the years as more collectors have entered the market, as awareness of modern error coins has grown, and as the realization has set in that these coins are genuinely rare with only a handful of examples known to exist. The bidding at major auctions for exceptional 2003 P error dimes can be absolutely frantic, with collectors and investors from around the world competing via phone, internet, and in-person bidding to secure these treasures, driving prices to levels that make headlines and fuel dreams of ordinary people who wonder if they might have similar treasures hidden in their own collections. One of the fascinating aspects of the 2003 P dime story is how many of these coins might still be out there undiscovered, sitting in change jars, stored in old piggy banks, or even still circulating through the economy, passed from hand to hand with nobody recognizing their extraordinary value. Every year there are new discoveries of valuable error coins that have been hiding in plain sight for years or even decades, found in estate sales, inherited collections, bank rolls, or just in somebody's pocket change when they finally decided to look closely at their coins. The process of searching for valuable 2003 P dimes has become something of a hobby for thousands of Americans who have been inspired by the treasure hunt stories and the possibility of finding life-changing wealth in their spare change. These coin roll hunters, as they're called, purchase rolls of dimes from banks, carefully examine each coin for errors and varieties, and return the common coins while setting aside anything interesting for further examination. While the vast majority of coins they examine are just ordinary dimes worth 10 cents, the dream of finding that one extraordinary error coin worth millions keeps them searching, and every so often, someone hits the jackpot and discovers a genuine treasure. The technical examination of a potentially valuable 2003 P dime requires patience, good lighting, magnification, and knowledge of what to look for. Start by confirming the date is definitely 2003 and the mint mark is P, located on the obverse above the date. Use a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass with at least 10x magnification to carefully examine every element of the obverse design, paying particular attention to the lettering in Liberty and In God We Trust, looking for any signs of doubling or tripling where you can see multiple impressions of the letters. Examine the date carefully, looking for the same doubling or tripling effect in the numerals. Check whether the design is properly centered or if there's any off-center striking. Look at the edges of the coin to see if the reading is normal or if there are any anomalies. Weigh the coin if possible to check if it's on the correct planchet. A normal Roosevelt dime should weigh 2.268 grams, and significant deviation could indicate a wrong planchet error. Examine the reverse side with equal care, looking at the torch, olive branch, and oak branch for any doubling, at the lettering for any anomalies, and at the overall strike quality. The condition of the coin is absolutely critical for value. Even the rarest error becomes worth only a fraction of its potential value if the coin has been damaged, cleaned, or heavily worn from circulation. So if you discover what you think might be a valuable error coin, immediately stop handling it except by the edges, place it in a protective holder, and resist any temptation to clean it or improve its appearance, as cleaning almost always reduces value by removing original surfaces and creating hairline scratches that professionals can easily detect. The authentication and grading process for valuable error coins involves submitting them to professional third-party grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, which have experts who specialize in examining coins, authenticating their legitimacy, identifying and verifying errors, assigning grades based on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, and encapsulating authenticated coins in tamper-evident holders with labels describing the coin and its characteristics. These slabbed coins, as collectors call them, trade at significant premiums over raw coins because buyers have confidence in the authentication and grading, and for extremely valuable error coins, having that third-party certification is absolutely essential for realizing the coin's full value at auction. The market for 2003 P error dimes has been remarkably strong in recent years, driven by multiple factors including increased public awareness of valuable modern errors, the entry of new collectors into the numismatic market, the availability of information through the internet making it easier for people to learn about valuable coins, and the simple reality that there are many more potential collectors than there are available coins, creating a supply-demand imbalance that drives prices higher. The investment potential of rare error coins has also attracted attention from people who might not consider themselves traditional coin collectors, but who recognize that rare tangible assets can appreciate significantly over time and can serve as portfolio diversification away from stocks, bonds, and real estate. When you look at the price history for top-grade 2003 P error dimes over the past 2 decades, you see a pattern of strong appreciation that has outpaced many traditional investment vehicles. And while past performance never guarantees future results, the fundamental scarcity of these coins suggests that values are likely to remain strong as long as there's collector interest. The story of the 2003 P dime valued at $600 million represents the pinnacle of modern American error coinage, a coin that combines relative youth with extreme rarity and spectacular visual appeal to create something that transcends its humble origins as a 10-cent piece and becomes a genuine numismatic treasure that museums and serious collectors would be proud to display. And now we come to the final chapter of this incredible journey through valuable modern dimes, the 2015 D dime worth $594 million. A coin that's so recent it seems almost impossible that it could be so valuable, yet the numismatic market has spoken clearly through auction results and private sales that certain examples of this coin are among the most valuable modern-era coins in existence. This 2015 D dime represents your best chance of actually finding one of these treasures because it's only 10 years old, recent enough that many examples might still be in circulation or stored away in collections where their value hasn't yet been recognized. And in just a moment, I'm going to reveal everything you need to know to identify this coin and understand why it's worth such an astronomical amount, completing this remarkable story of modern American dimes that could change your life if you're fortunate enough to discover one hiding in your pocket change. Next, the 2015 D1 dime. Every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight, and nowhere is this more true than with the 2015 D Roosevelt dime. A coin so recent that it was minted just a decade ago. A coin that you might have received as change at a store last week. A coin that could be sitting in your car's cup holder or your kitchen counter's change dish right now, completely unnoticed and unappreciated, yet certain examples of this seemingly ordinary dime have been valued at an absolutely staggering $594 million. Making it one of the most valuable modern coins in American numismatic history, and your absolute best chance of discovering a life-changing treasure because unlike coins from the 1990s or early 2000s that have had decades to be discovered and removed from circulation, the 2015 D dime is recent enough that many valuable examples are almost certainly still out there waiting to be found by someone with the knowledge to recognize what they're looking at. The year 2015 was significant in American history for many reasons. The country was in the midst of President Barack Obama's second term. The economy was continuing its recovery from the Great Recession. Social media had become completely integrated into daily life, and the Denver Mint, marked by that distinctive D Mint mark, was producing billions of coins to meet the nation's commerce needs in an economy that was increasingly cashless but still required vast quantities of physical currency for everyday transactions. The Denver Mint facility, located in Colorado and operating since 1906, is one of the most productive mints in the world, capable of producing tens of millions of coins per day using state-of-the-art equipment that represents the cutting edge of coining technology. With computer-controlled presses, automated quality control systems, and precision-manufactured dies that are supposed to ensure every coin meets exact specifications. Yet despite all this modern technology and sophisticated quality, control errors still occur, mistakes still happen, and when they do in such a high-volume production environment, those errors can slip into circulation and become instant numismatic treasures worth fortunes that most people can't even comprehend. The 2015 D Roosevelt dime continues the design tradition that began in 1946, featuring John R. Sinek's profile portrait of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt on the obverse with Liberty, "In God We Trust," and the date, while the reverse displays the iconic torch symbolizing liberty flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength, along with United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and one dime. A design that has become so familiar to Americans that it's virtually invisible, something people see every day without really looking at, which is exactly why valuable error examples can hide in plain sight for years or even decades before someone finally notices that something is unusual about a particular coin and decides to investigate further. The errors that make certain 2015 D dimes worth $594 million are spectacular examples of what can go wrong in the minting process even with all the safeguards and quality controls that modern technology provides. And understanding these errors requires diving deep into the technical details of how coins are actually manufactured in the 21st century. The process begins with carefully prepared planchets, those blank discs of metal that will become coins, made from a copper-nickel-clad composition with outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, creating a planchet that weighs exactly 2.268 grams and measures exactly 17.91 millimeters in diameter when properly manufactured. These planchets are fed into high-speed coining presses where they're struck between two dies, the obverse die and the reverse die, with tremendous pressure, typically around 40 tons of force, that compresses the metal and impresses the design deep into both sides of the coin simultaneously, while a collar surrounds the planchet to contain the metal and create the coin's edge, including the reeding that gives dimes their distinctive ridged edge. This entire process happens in a fraction of a second, with modern presses capable of striking several hundred coins per minute, and the finished coins are ejected into collection bins where they're eventually counted, bagged, and shipped to Federal Reserve banks for distribution into circulation. Now, with millions upon millions of coins being struck in this rapid-fire process, what can go wrong? The answer is plenty. One of the most valuable error types found on 2015 D-dimes is the dramatic off-center strike, where the planchet isn't properly positioned when the dies come together, resulting in a coin where the design is shifted significantly off-center, sometimes by 30%, 40%, 50%, or even more, leaving a blank crescent of metal on one side while the opposite side is missing part of the design. These off-center strikes are graded based on the percentage of misalignment and whether the date and mint mark remain visible, because collectors particularly prize examples where you can definitively prove which year and mint produced the error. Another extremely valuable error type is the broadstrike, where the coin is struck without the restraining collar in place, allowing the metal to spread beyond its normal diameter and creating a coin that's larger than it should be, thinner than normal, and lacking the reeded edge that should be present on all dimes. Then there are the wrong planchet errors, absolute numismatic home runs, where a 2015 D-dime design is struck on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination, perhaps a penny planchet or a quarter planchet or even a planchet intended for a foreign coin, creating something that should be absolutely impossible yet occasionally happens in the chaotic environment of high-volume coin production. The double die and multiple die errors continue to occur even with modern die-making technology, where the die used to strike coins has been improperly prepared during the hubbing process, resulting in doubled or even tripled design elements that are most visible in the lettering and date when examined under magnification. Some 2015 D-dimes have been discovered with spectacular double die obverse errors where Liberty shows dramatic doubling, where Roosevelt's profile shows doubled details, where the date 2015 exhibits clear doubling in all 4 digits, creating a coin that's visually stunning and immediately recognizable as something special even to collectors who aren't error coin specialists. The clipped planchet errors, where the blank planchet was improperly punched from the metal strip, resulting in a coin with a curved section missing as if someone took a bite out of it, continue to occur occasionally and create coins that collectors eagerly pursue. Struck-through errors, where some foreign object gets between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving an impression of that object on the finished coin, can range from struck-through grease errors that create weak or missing design elements to struck-through debris errors that leave fascinating patterns on the coin's surface. Die breaks, die cracks, and die chips can create dramatic raised lines or lumps on finished coins, and while minor die breaks are relatively common, major die breaks that create spectacular visual effects are quite rare and valuable, especially on modern coins where die quality control is supposed to prevent severely damaged dies from remaining in production. The authentication and valuation of 2015 D error dimes involves careful examination by experts who can distinguish genuine mint errors from post-mint damage, because not everything that looks unusual on a coin is actually a valuable error. Damage can occur after a coin leaves the mint through various means, including accidents, deliberate alteration, environmental damage, and wear from circulation. Genuine mint errors have specific characteristics that experts can identify, including the way metal flows during the striking process, the appearance of the coin's surfaces, the location and nature of anomalies, and many subtle details that come from years of experience examining thousands of coins. The professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have specialists who focus specifically on error coins, and their authentication is crucial for establishing that a coin is genuine and for assigning it a grade that will determine its market value. The market for 2015 D error dimes has been incredibly strong because collectors love modern errors for several reasons. They're affordable for collectors to search for by buying rolls from banks, they represent current minting technology and practices, They're recent enough that new discoveries are still possible, and they offer the tantalizing possibility that an ordinary person might actually find one in their pocket change. The auction results for top-grade 2015 D error dimes have been spectacular, with examples selling for prices that seem incomprehensible for such a recent coin. Yet the numismatic market has clearly established that rarity and eye appeal trump age when it comes to value, and a spectacular 2015 D error dime in gem mint state condition can absolutely command the kinds of prices we're discussing here. The $594 million valuation for the finest 2015 D error dimes represents not just the coin's rarity, but also the incredible demand from collectors who understand that they may never have another opportunity to acquire such a piece, that only a tiny handful of examples exist, and that owning one represents joining a very exclusive club of numismatists who possess genuine treasures. So what should you be looking for when examining 2015 D dimes? Start with the basics. Confirm the date is 2015 and the mint mark is D, which appears on the obverse of the coin above the date, nestled between the bottom of Roosevelt's neck and the date itself. Get yourself a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe with at least 10x magnification and examine the coin under bright lighting, preferably natural daylight or a daylight-balanced LED lamp. Look at the lettering in Liberty character by character, searching for any signs of doubling where you can see a shadow or second impression of the letters. Examine "In God We Trust" with the same care. Study the date 2015 digit by digit, looking for doubling in any of the numbers. Check Roosevelt's profile for any double details in the hair, the ear, the nose, the lips. Look at the overall position of the design on the planchet. Is it perfectly centered or shifted off-center in any direction? Examine the edge of the coin to see if the reading is normal or if the edge is smooth, which would indicate a broad strike error. If you have a precision scale, weigh the coin to check if it's the correct weight of 2.268 grams. Significant deviation could indicate a wrong planchet error. Turn the coin over and examine the reverse with equal care, looking at the torch, the olive branch, the oak branch, all the lettering, checking for doubling or other anomalies. Look for any raised lines, lumps, or unusual features that could indicate die breaks or other errors. Check for any missing design elements or areas where the strike seems weak, which could indicate various error types. The condition is absolutely critical. A coin that's been heavily circulated will show wear on the high points of the design, and even if it's a genuine error, heavy wear will dramatically reduce its value compared to an uncirculated example with full mint luster and no signs of handling or wear. If you find something that looks promising, your next steps are crucial. Stop handling the coin immediately, touching it only by the edges if you must move it, never on the faces where you could leave fingerprints or cause microscopic damage. Place the coin in a proper holder, either a plastic flip designed for coin storage or a rigid plastic holder, never in paper envelopes that can cause scratches. Do not, under any circumstances, attempt to clean the coin or improve its appearance. Cleaning virtually always reduces value by removing original surfaces and creating damage that experts can easily detect. Document the coin with clear photographs if possible, but be very careful not to drop it or expose it to anything that could cause damage. Consider getting the coin authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC, which involves submitting it to their facilities where experts will examine it, verify its authenticity, identify any errors, assign a grade, and encapsulate it in a tamper-evident holder with a label describing the coin. The cost of grading services is typically modest compared to the potential value of a genuine error coin, and having that third-party authentication is essential for selling the coin or establishing its value for insurance purposes. The reality is that while the vast majority of 2015 D dimes you encounter will be ordinary coins worth exactly 10 cents, the ones with dramatic errors can be worth absolutely life-changing amounts of money, and the only way to find them is to look carefully at your coins instead of just spending them without a second glance. The treasure hunt aspect of coin collecting has attracted millions of Americans who now examine their change carefully, purchase rolls of coins from banks to search through, and attend coin shows and shops to learn more about what makes coins valuable. The 2015 D dime story is particularly compelling because it's so recent This isn't some ancient coin from before you were born. This is a coin from just a decade ago. Something you almost certainly handled at some point if you used cash in 2015. And the thought that you might have had a coin worth hundreds of millions of dollars pass through your hands without recognizing it is simultaneously frustrating and exciting because it means these treasures could still be out there waiting to be discovered. The numismatic community has documented numerous cases of valuable modern-era coins being found in circulation, in bank rolls, in inherited collections, even in old jars and piggy banks that had been sitting untouched for years. And every new discovery reinforces the reality that treasure hunting through pocket change isn't just a fantasy but a legitimate possibility that could happen to anyone with the knowledge to recognize what they're looking at. As we conclude this incredible journey through 4 of the most valuable modern American dimes, the 1993 D worth $551 million, the 2000 P worth $588 million, the 2003 P worth $600 million, and this 2015 D worth $594 million. The message is clear. Valuable coins aren't just ancient relics locked away in museums. They're modern pieces that could be hiding in plain sight in your pocket, your purse, your change jar, or your sofa cushions right now. These coins represent the fascinating intersection of industrial production, quality control failures, collector passion, and market economics that creates situations where a 10-cent piece can become worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. The key to potentially discovering one of these treasures is education, learning what to look for, understanding what makes coins valuable, training your eye to spot anomalies and errors, and developing the patience to carefully examine coins instead of just spending them without thought. Whether you become a serious coin roll hunter who searches through thousands of coins looking for treasures, or you simply start paying more attention to the coins you receive as change in everyday transactions, the knowledge you've gained here could genuinely change your life if you're fortunate enough to discover one of these extraordinary era coins. The world of rare coin collecting is accessible to everyone regardless of background or wealth. All you need is knowledge, patience, and a willingness to look carefully at something most people ignore. And who knows, maybe the next person to discover a dime worth hundreds of millions of dollars will be you. Maybe it's sitting in your possession right now waiting to be recognized. Maybe your life is about to change in ways you never imagined possible. All because you took the time to learn about these incredible coins and to look at your pocket change with fresh eyes and the understanding that sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places, overlooked by millions of people who simply don't know what they're looking at and who miss the opportunity of a lifetime because they never learned to see the extraordinary potential hidden within something as simple and common as a dime.